Today, Rinpoche continued his discussion of the general sufferings of cyclic existence, specifically the 6 types of suffering, utilizing Jayan Sheba's commentary and the various categories he uses for the explanation of it.
Oya tangasu dunga gomba ngwa de la de ni je dunga gomba ngwa de la ni kwashi dunga samba dan su dunga samba ni je kwashi dunga samba de la ane wade dunga je samba tu samba sun samba tangasu tu samba khatu marba dunga tu
Okay, so once again, we're looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, and we're looking specifically at the section that deals with, I'll get you the page number exactly, begins on page 271, where we find the outline, which begins with the actual meditation on suffering. So under that category, there are 2 categories: reflection on the universal or the general types of suffering of cyclic existence, and then reflection on the specific sufferings of cyclic existence. So that first category, reflection on the general sufferings of cyclic existence, has 3 categories: reflection on the 8 types of suffering, reflection on the 6 types of suffering, and reflection on the 3 types of suffering. So we're currently dealing with the section which is entitled Reflection on the 6 types of suffering. So in English, the page is 281, where the 6 types of suffering begin. Nicha Nishu Sachi. Okay. So everyone, page 281 is where we'll begin. Even though we've already gone through some of this section once already, we'll go over it again so everyone ascertains it very well. So in Jayan Sheba's outline, we find that there are actually 2 categories that are shown for this particular section on the reflection on the 6 types of suffering. First is the actual 6 types of suffering, and that's where we find these 6 types of suffering, the presentation. And then the second category, we have the 6 faults that have 3 types. So that's the second category, the 6 faults that comprise 3 types. So that's number 2 in Jayan Sheba's outline.
and Susu doing a imbe in the truth somebody show. That the Doden Jishin, Doden Dudij Madmudua. She didn't debale, she didn't debale, doing some be Tamane, Susu Yemi, the truth somebody shows, Tendo Temperes, doing it to their Dudijin. Giant
shape the Yerba. Ngul get the ngul, the Ewa Gatsu. Ewa Gatsu.
Ngudla and Nguda, Joson Division.
Then
Joson that and the Joson to Division and Doden Jishiniro. Doden Timbare. Doden Taje. That Jishil Tachodum Rota.
Lesser.
Doden and that Doden Ote. Okay.
So we begin again on page 281, and Rinpoche, the Lodru Chenpo, Becha, the Sheching Delpa, the Chiken, the Lodru Chenpo, the Mahamati, Sheching Yicha, Sheba, Si Sawa, Sik Sawa.
Okay, so
this is a commentary by Mahamati, where we find first here. So Mahamati, Mahamati's clear words explanation of the friendly letter says. So this is a commentary on Nagarjuna's letter to a friend, or friendly letter, and says that there are 7 types of suffering. But since the last merely restates such of the faults, states each of the faults, you should contemplate 6 types here. So when we look at Jayan Sheba's commentary, he states that this section is actually that summary of the 6 points. And then after that, we get into a broader explanation, or a more expanded explanation of each of those 6 types individually. This then, after this section where we find the summary, each of these 6 has its own section. So now we get into the broader explanation.
Jiwa Shamal Dada Nye the Pamatan, Pinja to Nebayo Maris. Shene, Jiwa Shamal Pamajea, Mapojea, Puchumajea, what the Nebayo, Jiwa Shamal Nebayo Maris, the Tambutin Bare. That neighbor Sendel Chajaba Inaya, Dada Nye Nebayo Maris, say to Dade, Semek Nye Jua, Semek Dade, and the Tedo Nye Jua, and the pension water. Nikama Yaba Drachaya, Nisha, what the Nabayoma, Sindele Nabayomare, Joa Shama Pension Nabayo, Kani was at it. That on board the Joa Shama Pension, Telangaba maybe Nebana, Nebanesa, Koana, Malasuba, Niena, Sarajento, Danjushins. Malasubiniana, Joa Shamalasu to Silkoso, and Susu Dachayungres, Danjushin, Dana near to Joa, Datuzungalo Susu, Pinjata, Pamata, or the Nijo de Grace, Tejento, ne Papon Jushins, Papolchea, Pupanjoatan, ne Ma, Choma Jushin, Chuma, Manjo Suso. Rimba Jin Pune Roa Kuna Yimbe Eden Ruma Yimeba Des, Eden Ruma Yimeba Des, what you Marisuta Conquerors and a shitting Gomulu, shitting Sundus, shitting less, partner Penny Chumanis, Papa Chigade, and Ma Choma Chaya, Chu Dajubayan, Shini dance. Dade and a Suzini Chaya, Robuchaya, and Dubanito, Chiteleto, Dubanito, Tene, Danye Chani, Dacha, what the pension about your Marison is it. Chiteleto, Coatana, Neba, Gamachi, Shefun sauce, what the Seshama Pejile, never remember what about things that it.
Okay, so first we have the fault of uncertainty. So the fault of uncertainty has two categories. The fault of uncertainty that pertains to future lives, and then the fault of uncertainty that pertains to this life. So the fault of uncertainty that pertains to future lives means that as you go through cyclic existence, your relatives, your sons, your mothers, your fathers, will not necessarily have the same relationship in future lives with you as they do at this time. So there is no certainty of what relationship they will have with you. Your father becomes your mother becomes your son, and so forth. So we see that there are all these different things that change in the future lives. So this is the fault of uncertainty of our future lives. So it's our friends from this life could become our enemies in our future lifetimes, and our enemies of this life could become our friends of our future lifetimes. And then we could have a situation where our friends or our enemies become something which is neither, which is a neutral relationship in our future lives with us. So we see that we have no certainty in regards to what relationship we will have with the beings that we have relationships with in our current life, in our future life. So that's the first category. The second category that pertains to the fault of uncertainty in this life means that there is no certainty that our friends will stay our friends. Our friends become our enemies. There's no certainty that our enemies will stay our enemies become our friends. So we can see also cases where they can become something which is neither, that we have then later a neutral relationship with. So we see that all of these relationships don't have any concrete stability. They don't have any certainty. So that is the fault of uncertainty. So we'll read. The fault of uncertainty: as you pass through cyclic existence, close relatives such as your father and mother become enemies in other lifetimes, while enemies become close relatives. Similarly, your father becomes your son, and your son your father. Your mother becomes your wife, and your wife your mother. Since there is nothing but a succession of such transformations, there is nothing that you can count on. And then we have a quote from Nagarjuna's friendly letter that states, "For those in cyclic existence there are no certainties, because fathers become sons, mothers become wives, enemies become friends, and the converse happens as well." So we find the same point being made here, that in cyclic existence nothing is certain, that our own father could become our son, and our own mother in our future life could become our wife, and our enemies in our future life can be our friends, and then also our friends can be our enemies. So these are the two categories: the fault of uncertainty in this life and the fault of uncertainty in our next life. Diksun.
어제 친들 찾아봐 이나 다다니도 바마도를 내봐 요 말이스 친들이 라야 자네 편순 존네로데 보상 주발도 이제도 보상 주발레스 레지나 다양 자운조와 레지나 거걸레 네 다도 수주 조부 차용 그래스 자우야네 대신 다양 주 자우대야 로봇 수수 잔존데야
Lesser.
대신 가지 장은 바만 줄어서 가지 어느 자다니에 두서야 자니가 많이 바만 같은데 조는 그래스 바만더니 장은 자운 줄어서 자다니에 가야 많이 받아야 상상 자차용 그래 상상에 차용 그래스
Lesser.
네 대신 자신조와 리네네 루드 댐베 대답이 셔로던 대바 인소 셔로던 대바 이나 와 대답이네 주디야 산타네 와데 자다니엘레 네 니엘 간 차바제야 잘다네 콘롤라 어떤 제주에 말해서 참마자스 니엘라 가유 세지 나두다스 니엘라 가유 세지 나두다 두네 절레제데 잡아샤스 니엘라 가유 니엘라가이 나도데 차라서부터 까네 는 센트 거발 자우레스 제데 잡아샤 셰송바 따르 고네 자니라 resu jene daniel resu jene dala dayim jusen jene control ya niel niel yemi jusen jene de cha je otoso chadon zu ka gores
Lesso.
chadon jo ka de ku chula ne ku chula lutesa kaya meba te la jo sho te tabi salmo mutane anen ru samba gongore son desare
Lesso. Now we have a focus on in this life where we find this uncertainty. It says, even in this life, enemies become friends and vice versa. The Tantra requested by Sabahu says, within a short space of time, an enemy can become a friend, and a friend can become an enemy. Likewise, either one may become indifferent, while those who are indifferent may become enemies or intimate friends. Knowing this, the wise never form attachments. They give up the thought of delighting in friends and are content to focus on virtue. So here the point is made that in this lifetime we don't have stability with our relationships. We can find times when our friend becomes our enemy. We can find other times when those who were previously our enemies become our friends. And then we can find that we'll suddenly have an indifferent feeling towards either one of those types of beings potentially in the future, even in this life. So we can see where we can form even neutral feelings towards those that we saw as our enemies or those that we saw as our friends. So we see the uncertainty there. While those who are indifferent become our enemies or intimate friends, so those even that are neutral to us now have the potential to have either one of those kinds of relationships with us. And then it says, knowing this, the wise never form attachment. So those who have wisdom, those who have understanding, know that there is no certainty, so therefore they don't form attachment to those that they find to be their friends. They don't form anger or hatred to those that they find to be their enemies, and they don't disregard those who are neutral to them. It says they give up on the thought of delighting in friends and are content to focus on virtue. So this point, which states that they're content to focus on virtue, means that they recognize these uncertainties, and as a result of this don't form attachment to friends, don't form attachment to enemies, and instead develop the desire to definitely emerge or develop renunciation, and that is what it means, and are content to focus on virtue, to focus on a desire to definitely get out of cyclic existence. So this is what the meaning of the quote from the Tantra requested by Sabahu is, and it's referring to the suffering, which is the uncertainty in this life, which is the fault of uncertainty in this life.
What the true non ngaba maybe ngaba the sen ni do. Jo shama penjel pamala su ngaba yo mares. Sindle ya da da ni da pamala ngaba yo kha ni do ta.
Lesser. So in this, I don't know what to do. In this particular section, again, Rinpoche, the long yure, dene the dets mo yure, the injike logo. The Tambo dets mo yure. The long yure, then Lamatsong Kappa delpa dets mo yure Tambo. The logo. Okay. By meditating on this, you should check the arising of attachment and hostility that comes from discriminating between friends and enemies. Be aware that among the phenomena of cyclic existence, absolutely nothing can be trusted. Become disenchanted. This is the final point made. Become disenchanted. Develop a desire to definitely emerge or develop renunciation. So here, the fault of uncertainty has two categories. The first category, the suffering, which is the fault of uncertainty in our future lives, and then the second category, which is the suffering, which is the fault of uncertainty in this life. So these are the two. Less so. So the second point, I'm sorry, the second suffering among the six is the fault of insatiability. So we find this section Jayan Sheba actually states that there are 8 points, there are 8 actual categories in the outline in this number 2, and that is called the fault of insatiability.
Oma tonte tadun susu yi ju jesu zhang yu kuwa yu te yu chemo neji tongce lo shi senjen re jang ne ngami no ju jazang tongwa tang tadun yang tabi lang la ma la na Jazan Tong Anjoa, Samba was what they bus Tambo things at the Tambo. Tambo to what they and the Karsore, that the Twenda was the Tangazo Pugujin and Ama Oma Nugro, Oma Marbe, Ami Oma Mata, Samaga, Oma Nugro, Oma to what the Jasu Zil Habi, Jasu Zil Salabing as Oma Tonsa is. 다동안 되는 거요 말했어. 단디 송상바요 말했어. 수시 주 제순자의 코아유 대 제모 다 자수질을 하고 단다 텔레모아지 통화 내가 요어서 말বে 통절로시 세제를 장 하면 너주 제상 하면 너주 제상 통 안에 아마기 너주 제상 통화당 다동양 타비랑라 말라나 제상 통완조아 내가 매보 what yeah.
So the first category refers to that each of us has drunk more milk than would fill the 4 oceans. So we have a quote from Nagarjuna's friendly letter, and it states, "Each of us has drank more milk than would fill the 4 oceans, yet those in cyclic existence who act as ordinary beings are intent on drinking still more than that." Think about it. Each living being has drunk so much mother's milk in the past, and yet without training on a path to liberation will drink that much again in the future. This is just an example. So here, when the humans all rely, when they are born, on milk. So it's stating that we've had so many births where we've needed milk, that if we were to add up all of the milk that we've drank in our series of births, we would say that it would fill the 4 oceans. And so that would be the large quantity that it would be if we were able to add up all of the milk that we've drank in those in the continuum of our births that we've had over and over again. So this is point number 1 in Jayan Sheba's commentary.
The Manusha maybe two son, each Joa Shaguete, the Walla, Lonshabane, each Simbisherina. She be the one, Chesan Lonshe Jan, Simba maybe Sher, Siba Pio and Jushin, Te Jan, Koa into Chante, and the water daki, Chazayan, Mazubi. Ne dunge shinto zhukawa na tuba do meba nyuan juro de niba dinsa niba tene wate sekun den chunba zante tama le wate neba meme neba tambu de chunba zante tanda te momu yoares chunba zante ku pensu ta dunge las ku pensu lai pensu ta mei pensu ane kaje tuba ina tandi sun samba yo mares and the Dungan Gazi Dungan Momununta, the Niwa Dungata, Ithaca, Tondu Dungata, Chekanashi, Dungan Momununta, Samba Yomaris, Samba maybe 2 to what did they think of those. The Pensu Dungan, the Manu, Shesha, Matu, San, Toma Maban, the one the new, but the Dungan the new Basangasu, what they and choose on to your matters. Mombuji, the one Momununta, Dungan Momununta is, Tetabi Tusan, and Tetabi Koala, Nanu Samba, and Jiva Shagure, Shagute, Dewala Longshab and the Dewala Longshabate, and the Eat Simbisher, and the Dewala Longshabatandi will be Eat Simbisher, Shehina, Sibi Dewala, Chazan Longsha, and the Timber Yomaris, Timber maybe Sher, Timber Meba the Mazi, and the water Chazan Pewa Tea, Church, and then Docha Pemoris, Siba Pewa and Jushin, Tea Jushabalatin, Tejan. Koa into Chante, the water that Chaton, Mazubi, and Chaton Mapepi, Dungan Shinto, Zukawa, now Tuitado, Tupato Maba, Nuan Jurosa. The water still lab, Dungan Patum of Nuguchigres, what the Nipa to Patin said.
Nipa Kabaka.
Nipa, what the Nipa to Patua.
Nipa Kabaka. She Ching Lung? She Ching Lung?
She didn't quit as a roa. Didn't Chumba on the set, or Chumba on
Kabaka. Dewa Long Shu Ba.
Nipa Sumba Roa.
Dejan Kowa Ring. You jumped it.
Sumba the Nere Sumba. Sumba ne, Kui Dwal and Zenejus, what then Sumba Yungdua. Kui Dwal and Zene Nasa, looking as a Juro. What then
She Ching, good so do. The She Ching.
Or the shitting region, she did Sumba.
She thought say Ching. Okay, they caught. Okay, so we'll do two China. Okay, so I was just trying to find where the section actually stopped for number 2. So now we get into the second category in Jnana Shepa's outline, and it's that we have no lack of experience with the wonders and the sufferings of cyclic existence. So that's the name of category number 2. It says, when you reflect on how you have no lack of experience with the wonders and sufferings of cyclic existence, you should become disenchanted. You indulge in pleasures in pursuit of satisfaction, yet with worldly pleasures you are never satisfied, no matter how much you enjoy them. Hence, time and time again, your craving grows, and on that account you wander for ages through cyclic existence. Through a measurably long period of time, you will experience intolerable suffering, which those pleasures will not ameliorate in the least. Here, we have had all of the wonders of the higher realms of cyclic existence, or the excellence when we were gods. And in the human realm, we've had all of these various enjoyments. We've had large amounts of sufferings when we dwelled in the lower realms of cyclic existence, when we were in the hell realm, and when we were in the hungry ghost realm. So we've had all of those experiences within cyclic existence, and then when we think about this, suffering and happiness and the lack of stability that we have in regards to our pleasures or our happiness, would become disenchanted. So that means we get a desire to emerge from it. We get a desire to get out of cyclic existence, which is renunciation, a desire to definitely emerge. That's where it says, you should become disenchanted. You indulge in pleasures in pursuit of satisfaction, yet with worldly pleasures you are never satisfied with, no matter how much you enjoy them. So here it's stating that we're not, craving grows because there is no satisfaction even with the wonders of cyclic existence. Even though we've had all of these sufferings, we still are in cyclic existence. Then point number 2 ends where the friendly letter begins. In the friendly letters category number 3, where we find the example of a leper.
Ta somba shedin les watere do somba shedin les somba shedin le chetanzene sembu nyeba ne de do mala ane kunten chang sho manju tjin tjin dawa ne dobana la chaba chenbanzu wat badreja somba de shedin le wat zuma tanga zunzi nasa saralang de juro wote na saralang zo malten ju tene dunga te tar do shagres tena jin de bi dwa ngal wote tenda bores santan wote ngenu samba chebe gores chetan dene sembi nyeba ne de do mala kunten jam ane dwa chebe do ne zai nasa tu mal ten du tele dunga Chenro shagres shawa manju tetan rawa ne doba nala chaba ten tenda bores chenpan jujis wo teba tulu wo te somba dreshe somba.
So number 3 again starts here with the friendly letter. Just as a leper tormented by maggots turns to fire for relief but finds no peace, so should you understand attachment to sensual pleasures. So we find the example of the leper who turns to fire because he or she has maggots and looks for some sort of relief and uses fire to burn it. And likewise, the pleasures within cyclic existence, the enjoyments that we have within cyclic existence, even though they give us an amount of pleasure, there is no stability within that pleasure. So it says, but you should understand attachment to sensual pleasures. So it won't last, is what it means. That even though there's a mild amount of pleasure, it will turn into suffering. It won't last. Just as the leper looks for relief with the fire, even if there is a moment of relief, there's later torment from the burning itself.
Ta jiba do te jiba del jibe me te tagundu ne shin du chwa su ga wa ta bi do ne sa ne shin du ne chmu je tra khabo te ta bi do ne te wote pashin du ba wote ne mate go jiba dres jiba pashin du ban den dos.
So number 4 in Jayan Sheva's category is that even if you get what you would want, you're never satisfied. And then we find a quote from the Compendium of Perfections.
What the passion duba le jansa doba tuba ta ni ji jin do temba ta mo to sabe mo na sa doba tuba dobi ane ku dowa madan hay dowa ane susun doba dowa tuba ta ni ji jin do dowa del temba ta ane mo to sabe mo ba dowa del kazi peje jaba ina tandi sunsa tage what the dowa tat peje jin tandi sa sunsa yo mares mo nas tele chemo kanji yus tele chemo tele ane ne chi kanji tele chi nasa kane yo mares nasa chi yudres je dans what about what jiba dinsar jiba.
So number 4 again is that no matter, even if you get what you want, you're not satisfied. So the Compendium of Perfection says you get what you want, use it up, then acquire more, and still you are not satisfied. What could be sicker than this? So no matter what enjoyments you're able to obtain in the higher realms of cyclic existence, whatever pleasures or enjoyments you have as a god or a human, you are not satisfied with them ever. When you get the things that you desire, you want more. So there is this state of dissatisfaction, and then the quote states, "What could be sicker than this?" Which means that this is the largest illness. This is the real big illness that we have, this idea that we're not satisfied even when we get what we want. Then Dungyal J dang Dewa J got Hanga the Charan the guy the Tama guy
Ngapa
Loching the Gomen Lessa
what the Janji Kartanga Duzana Hunching Azu Manu Dungaji Yoma Dunga Samanga to New Sabbaths Hunching Manu Dewaji Yoma Dewa Sama New Sabbath Red in at Tandangasu Dajumba Tuyo Mares what they should then do is that
Muche Sena
Nema yeah
oh before
last life
yeah then do the
last life doing someone new Sabbath there was someone new Sabbath Tandangasu Dajumba Tuyo Mares what they then do is that.
Okay, so number 5, we find a quote from Chenrezig's letter to a student. And Jayan Sheva states that the point in number 5 is that we've had every experience of suffering in our countless rebirths. We've had every experience of happiness in our countless rebirths. But this has not amounted to our becoming a foe destroyer. Even though we've had all of these varieties of experience, the result isn't that we are enemy destroyers or foe destroyers. So that's the heading for number 5, and then we'll read the letter to a student. What being has not come into the world hundreds of times? What pleasure has not already been experienced countless times? What luxuries such as splendid white yak-tail fans have they not owned? Yet even when they possess something, their attachment continues to grow. There is no suffering they have not experienced many times. The things they desire do not satisfy them. There is no living being that has not slept in their bellies. So why do they not rid themselves of attachment to cyclic existence?
Doa Laja Masun Rut Kanjius, the Kujo Levo Jata Momalamba, Roji, Mar Kanjius, Kanji, Muchi Lamo Manu, the water Kanjis, Muchi, and then last life on the no Manu, the Waji, Maris, Nayo Kanji Tabu, Pematus. Magic the was someone knows about it, don't someone knows about it. Tanangasungayo Kanji Tabi Tabatu Mares, two Messusia, daughter and Dua. Tayan Kanji Yuna, Venjan, the chapis, Tayan Kanji Yuna, Venjan, the chapis, the water, what is the Kazi in the chat appearing grace. Muchi Lamo Manu, and doing it to you, Miss Muchi, and doing Manu, doing J. Maris. Roa Kanki, Otan, doing Manu, but J. Yomar, the Tangas, what the doing Soba Mesa, Tangus, what things are. Roa Kanki Tinjuro, Debat the Dames, Roa Kanki Tinjuro. Naji Doa Momu Barete, Tandis on some Yomaris, doing Momu Sabari Sumba Yomaris, Tinjur Debat the Dame. Kanki Toma Kanki Tumanye sentient menas, Tumanyo sentient menas, what the Gasuri.
The sentient tantric, not so trovo, non-lai.
What is it? Yea, the menas, Vajan, Jeta Kuala, Chademe, Shesumba, the Samos, or what about the
So then the Chenrezig Roman's letter to his student, what being has not come into the world hundreds of times? All sentient beings have come hundreds and hundreds of times into this world. What pleasures have not already been experienced countless times? So every form of pleasure has been experienced. What luxuries, such as splendid white yak-tail fans, have they not owned? So they've had every form of luxury, yet even when they possess something, their attachment continues to grow. So there is this dissatisfaction, no matter what. This attachment is still there, so there is not a state of liberation. They have not become a foe destroyer. The attachment actually grows. The attachment hasn't been abandoned by it, even though we've experienced every form of happiness and experienced every form of suffering there is to experience. Even though we've experienced every one there is, we still want more, even though we've already experienced them all. And all of those experiences have not led to us, even though we've had every one of them, being liberated. So there is no suffering they have not experienced many times. The things they desire do not satisfy them. There is no living being that has not slept in their bellies, so why do they not rid themselves of attachment to cyclic existence?
Shinto Dunga Nakawa and Tameba Nutunes, and then Hemal Nazo last lives Gurba, and Dunga Shinto Chibut and Takawa, and Tata Mamaba to New York, New Bitute, Jean Yangasa was a Trubat and the Matanga Wusrita. Jean Yangasa was a Trubat and the Matleon.
Jean, again and again.
Yeah.
Again and again. So number 6 deals with the suffering that we've had over and over again. So that the Rinpoche Yanja Sirlang, Goma Mebachi.
Dunga Chibu Nasu Momu New Sabaris, Tameba New Yorkers, Tameba New York, what they, Jean Yangasa was what they can do.
So here, the number 6 is that we should become disenchanted by the fact that we have again and again had these various types of suffering within cyclic existence. So this is number 6.
Jean Yangasawa le Yangasawa do in a ginger.
Lesso.
Jean Yangasawa le Sombater Kudunga Samba Yina Sana, Shinto Joan Judes, and then you Samba Jiggeris.
Lesso.
Yata Yato Niwana, Yana to Niwana, Sanjun Kua, Kantomba. Jatsunaki Chulayang, Di Chudan Yumayins, and then what the New Jene, and the Jat and Santo took a student to Chutabana, the Tune, what they took not under Yubayina, what the Jatsuya Congress, and then Jean Yangasa or Sumba the Sana, Shinto Juan Judes, Tanga to New Jene. And Santa Jatu Yakun Chutabanaji, Kasure Yana Niwana Sanjun Kua Kantomba Jasunagi Chulayan, Tito Jasu Chule Labadis, Yoris, or to Santa Bahina, what they can do some Chigrota, Yumayinsa, Tachetan Papa, Chetan Papa, Chetan Papa, Suasagura. Chetan Baba, Chetan Baba to Jubana, Mazan one Nasuba, Jabo, Lambi, Silly Shindu Laban Josa, Chetan Baba, Jen Mazan side, and Neba Macha Yoba Ina, the Jabuli again, Haba says about this, Haba Juro. Zashi Ratu Tewayi, Kunesu Kangoba, Megi Chimi Tibai, Tantu Jasu, Roma Insa, and then Hatu Hamada Tre, Zashi Tante Mune, Min Chusagamada, Chudote, Yuba Ina Wate, Jatulea Tene, what Michud More Chasabates, Roma in, Pension Tato, Tubisher. Pensuta Tsubishi, Gujeba Kayimba, Bona, Tata Toane, Champion Jitan Legend Talsa, and the man of Zin, what the Guji Shabbat, to the Ponsha Yobaina, Champion Jitan Leg again, the Tal.
That's a move.
That was Manze, the Gumma Jigro.
The move, Ale, then the chew.
Minchus Muyadro cry.
That's so.
Cora Minchuton wrote, Jatul Labares, Jato Yomains, Pensutato, Tubisher, that man's there, no matter to Carlton, Ngubala, Subatanaka Moburo.
That's a
Ngubaja, go to Sokata, Yobaina, and Puna, Tetra, and Sabi Jiden legend, Sabi Jiden at Tongares. What was done the Yobaina?
listen.
Simbur Jujin, Ratibe, and Salu Sheba Kayimba, Ome Jaso, Chenato, Ti Kana Shindu Kansa. But Jen Bag Marva, Salu Sana, what to Tunga, Tanda Yobaina, what the Jatuya Kayum Res, King Sheson Bataros, what about things that it? To what?
That's it. Then number 6. Think about this. Furthermore, you will become very disenchanted with cyclic existence if you reflect on what the alleviating sorrow says. So here we find a quote from the sutra, and it states that you'll get a desire to emerge. You'll develop renunciation if you think in this way. Again and again in hells you drank boiling liquid copper, so much that even the water in the ocean does not compare. So in previous lives, in the hell realms, we drank so much molten copper that it would overflow an ocean, so that it would be more than the ocean water. And it says, the filth you have eaten as a dog and as a pig would make a pile far more vast than the Meru, the king of mountains. So the dogs and pigs eat dirty things, and if you added up all of the dirty things in those lifetimes that we have eaten, it would be higher than Mount Meru if we were to pile them up, all these dirty things that we've eaten. On account of losing loved ones and friends, you have shed so many tears in the realms of cyclic existence that the ocean could not contain them. So here we lose our friends, we lose our family, we lose our loved ones, and we've cried so much and have shed so many tears that if we had those tears, it would fill all of cyclic existence. And it says, I'm sorry, if we had the tears that we cried in all of the different realms, in all of the different lifetimes within this cycle of cyclic existence, then the oceans could not contain them. So it means that they would be more than the oceans, it says ocean, but oceans. The heads that have been severed from fighting one another, if piled up, would reach beyond Brahma's heaven. And then you have been a worm, and having been ravenous, you ate so much sludge that if it were poured into the great ocean, it would fill it completely. So bugs eat the various types of sludge and mud and so forth. And if they added that up, all of the times that we were bugs or worms and ate that, it would fill the great ocean. So this is all pertaining to number 6. and we'll take a short break.
Oh, that what son of Dumba. Dumba the water, Dumba Janji wrote this Dumba the la. Dumba the water. Dumba water, Dumba the water.
Supo mambo.
Dumba the Tatana Dombuka was at it. Dombuka water in Janji made the Tagandu. Haji, Zange, Trame, choose over 10 day, Shanchula, Beba Samba Nesa, and then Haman has to lose on Mobutu. Tata Mama Mobutu, Samalang has to be to my Tula Chinsabares, and the ring and Mabuto are, Tabunazu what the Page to your mare, Tama Tula Chinsabares, Tetabi what they Tetabi Nancy the son, Nancy Tante, Shanchula Beba, and the Tetabi Nancy Santan, what they Saji go to a Tabutu or the Santan is. What the Haji Luzange Tame, choose about 10 days, Luzama Mumangasu, Trul Peje to Mare, choose about Trula Tans Abare, Lunga Mabu Trula Tans Abare, what the 10 words, the 10 and the 10 the Shanchula Beba someone's Tangasu, Saji Kubo to be chetu and Saji Kubo to Toyago. Taba to Agjo, Dundu to Agjo, and little bit Gundus, what the Tangan Dusrita, Beber Samba ne, Tadano Domukaba lays what the Domukaba and what the Tangan Dusrita. What the Tom Janji when they said Chilashana and Domukaba Legro.
The Rinpoche, Chan Chiloka Chi Chiloka Ni Losong. Can you say the Chiloka Ni here, right? Chu Chiloka Chi Chiloka Ni Losong.
Kaba.
They alone.
Domukabas. Trubadro, Truba Marba.
Dunba.
Dumba and Dumba the Domukabas at the raw. Domukabal Seatre, what the Janjibe Deshi the Jagudo Deshi. Kamalangazu, Luzam Mutosare, Pejetu Trula Tansabares, Lugamam Toyoare, Pejetu Trula Tansabares, the 10 words, the 10 and then what the ta, and then as a Tabatuya, Saji Guntuya, Dendutua, then the Julbe Gundus, and then big Guba to what they tend to do.
That's so. So on number 7 in Jayan Sheba's commentary is that we've had many different bodies, excellent bodies in our beginningless rebirths, and it has been to no avail because we are still within cyclic existence. So this is number 7, and we find the array of stock sutra states. Remember that the infinite bodies which in the past you wasted senselessly on account of desire, now in this life truly seek enlightenment, take up disciplined conduct, and thereby destroy desire. Remember the infinite bodies which in the past you wasted senselessly on the account of desire. As many times as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, you failed to please the Buddhas and ignored their teachings, such as this. One should be using the body and make the causes for becoming liberated, make the causes for becoming complete Buddhas. So that up to this point we've had many bodies with many qualities, and we are still here.
ane susu deba yeba dewa ro dewa mabu toyo arade lezo mabu toyo arade wote chula beje je tu mar chuze je sabres chula tang sabres deme chuze ves leje hweje takan tanse de tetabi lezo mabu danga ba tata meme ba nga su toyo arade chuze je ma beje je ma tu ba je chula tang sabres leje hweje takan tanse de Terin Shanchu Yongsu Duju Dans Wate Natsu Chula Dansa du Tarin Natsu Wate Taba Tuya Sanji Gung Tuya Dendu Tuya Wate Jule Beguris Tenga Dusre Terin Shanchu Yongsu Duju Dan Jender Duju Jene Deba Tsus Taba Tuya Jo Dendu Tuya Jo Wate Sanji Gung Tuya Jo What did the Batsu Gurus and said? Sonsa, Chuji, Dunju Deme, Chuji Bish, Chujin Doju, what and Hamal Dundu Tangandu Lumabo, Deme, Chuji, Luigi Huji, Takan Tanshite, Tetabit, Luzamba Tangaba, Tameba, and Nasu Pujaji Matubaji, what the Tangurus, Tanshite. Kangi shene nyeba maje shin kangi shene nyeba maje shin dendri yung kan sanji le matu sa kangi shema tanya maje shin kangi shema tanya bichewa zambu tanya ma kangalo ngazo tu arade ne tabu ya sanji gung tu wadena sanda maris maje shin Dendri Junkan Tetabi Tabatuji Jotan Sanji Gubuntu Jotu Sanji Nazu Tuyo Maris Sanji Le Matu Sheson Batar Simbi Pensu Mare Simbi Pensu Jine Jitu Jans Matan Lai 네 평소 초바 네 제가 전에 투장 와도 나 투사만 나도 르고 알았어 르바다 되메비 등에 봐도 매봐 되메비 와데 된다 매비 등에 봐도 매봐 노네 다동야 르바도 매봐 추저봐 템바샤사 What Taduna Nasu what the Sada Majena, Shugula Nasu, Latame, Tezam Nasusula Chigres, what the Tanguris, Tambara Shah. Tadunya, Mambena, Tadunya Madibena, Theatre and Jew, Tadunya Mambena, Hama, Luzanga Mabutula Tansha Najitanda, Taga Yunguris. Tadunya Mambena, Theatre and Jew, Chusan La, Koale, 네 좋아지바 샤오 so what about insare ngaju samba jiba jegures
then Janlawa the Jepa Rinpoche Dumba Jepa Dumba okay so remember
Jepa
okay Tuchina excellent so number 7 we find again in the Ray of Stock Sutra. Remember the infinite bodies which in the past you wasted senselessly on the account of desire. Now in this life truly seek enlightenment, take up disciplined conduct, and thereby destroy desire. In our previous lives we've had infinite bodies, we've had infinite wonders of cyclic existence while we were in those bodies we were able to enjoy, and we wasted our time in those bodies because of our desire, because of our attachment. So it's saying in this particular lifetime, seek enlightenment, engage in the causes which cause a higher realm rebirth, engage in the causes which create liberation, engage in the causes which lead to complete Buddhahood. So do that in this life, since in previous lives we've wasted those bodies, those bases senselessly. So take up disciplined conduct and thereby destroy desire. So Remember the infinite bodies which in the past you wasted senselessly on the account of desire. As many times as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, you failed to please the Buddhas, ignored their teachings, such as this. In these bodies, and as many times as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, this has happened that we have not engaged in the practices which are the causes for higher realms, or the causes for liberations, or the causes for complete Buddhahood, because that's how we please the Buddhas. But we've ignored their teachings, we've ignored those instructions and haven't engaged in them, and therefore we are currently where we are. So instead of ignoring them, we should engage in the practices of them and be creating the causes for those higher realm liberation and Buddhahood results. So then even if you gain the vast wonders of cyclic existence, they would be illusory. So if you gain these vast wonders, all of the excellent things that you can have in cyclic existence, they would be illusory. Bear in mind the countless bodies you have wasted in the past, experiencing limitless and pointless suffering. Consider that it will continue this way unless you make an effort to put an end to it, develop a sense of disenchantment. So generate the desire to definitely emerge, generate renunciation, knowing that you have previously had countless bodies, and now you have another one. So use this one for a means to those higher results. Okay, so that is still within number 7. And then number 8 will begin with Jangawa's quote.
What the Jeba do the Shinga, what the Malhegdua, till one Yajibi, what the Geshe Jagudu, Tetra Gumbe, Kuyemi, Teta Gumbe, Nua Jesses, and Nua, and Nanjung Samba Jul Jetes, Tamba Komi Sunjin, Shetunes. Ne koa nyame sanu motane nganju samba jesute chiba tamba khama to ludu ya sela suba tesu jule nganju samba ne kata che na tena ji shegures o tena matenga dusata tata gombe nyawa jese tamba komi sonji chiba tamba khama tuke ne sona ji shegures te o te shenga so tena dusata.
The Jeba?
The Jeba.
The Mingare?
Jeba the Jajiba with the Sildua. Tata Gumbi, Kui Nemi, Tata Gumbi, Tata Gumbi, Nuaji, Nanu Sambachi, Nanu Sambachi, said the Jeba Tama Hamatsuge, Julian, Nanu Samakandachi, and Atanaji Shegures. Tangadus. Tetra Gumbi, Gondship, Nanu. Kui Nemi Tata Gumbe and Nanu Samba Jibitse, Nua Jibitse, Tamba Gumi, Sonjin Shetunes, and what the Nanu Samba Julachi today, Chibatama Hamatuge, Sonajin, Julichibache Ures, the Tangadusata.
So, the number 8 is that we develop renunciation by recognizing what the one thus gone, what the Buddha has presented to us, and then by reflecting again and again on it, then we are able to develop a sense of a desire to emerge. And it's self Chichen is self lasun the Natsu Yanja core jog, right?
Yeah. That the Shenga go to Pachate with this and Shenga Shenes, Kadam Gishi, Shenga Shene, Chu Tumba, Toma Mebane, Chendai, Louis Lanlas, Chu Tumba, Toma Mebane, and a Kui Lu Chendashi. Dundu Tangandu Lu Chendashi, Lanla, Tari Jinto, Tijenji Chu She Manu Yu, Tijen Chu She Manu Yu, Bugu Somba Dansa. Kamangasu Luzamba Tangaba Momolan Sabares, 다른 신도 ane 티징 주셔요 말이스 르 zambudan yamba mumbu toyo warade teba jimbi chusheyo mares tari nga tsu to ya ne teba jimbi chusheya chungpa res wadi nga tsu sazo che gu res tari jing to ti jing ji chushe manyung yu ne bu gu sungpa tari sazo che gu res tari nga tsu wadi chulu wadi nage luno che ya koko che raba chiraga yapare sazo che gu res
Hey, the Jayan Sheba, the Sache, the Ming, the Jawa Gare.
The Jaji was Haji what in the butter was at and
Sheba.
Tata Gumbi, Queen, Yemi, Tata Gumbi, and Nuaji Sete, Jibatam Hamatsuge, and the Kandeche and the Tanaji Gures. That and the Shinga was with the Sumba Naji, Jegurusuma in Jirwat. 주 템바사 네 토마 매반 진대시 르랑라 진대시 르랑라 네 토마 매반 다디바도 덴루당엔루 르상에 몸 르시 랑요 랑라 다리 나지 티징이 주시야 그거라요 말레스 다리 진도 티징지 주시 만유유 무구송바 다른 가수 또 야네 대바 재미줄로지야 그거 지라버고테 서서지 버레스 상부이셰네 대가담 기신의 진지래 상부이셰네 장 코안들 네 부모부시 시구바인데 냐라 냐라 마포 송바 다비 네 로네마 지바도 상구신스 제나장 준도 장구소 소데 제바팀바레 제바 다티 된다 어디서 근데 상부시네 코안들 강부 몸부지 셰구바인데 셰구바인데 냐라 레 마보 송바타비스 다가데 코아글로 몸을내는 와데 타바투하게 네 다바도 산지고 모두가 중앙서 두요 말레스 사비 로네마시 제지바도 다른 가수 더 좋아요래 다른 가수 같은 경우 선바 주마 많이 받지바지 서서 제고레스 제지바도 상구지 생각으로 선바 이안에 야도 년생구도 타바되냐로 쇼나데서 내는 제발서 어떤 산 당고 송된지로와 줄제나 전 샤주마 준도 에브텐 공고레스
Bless
준대도 장고소 어떻게 제발에
So number 8, we have reflect until you give rise to the kind of thinking which is a desire to definitely emerge. So reflect on this until there is a desire to emerge. So I'll explain within this because there's more of an explanation than a title heading in Jayan Sheba's outline on a lot of these. So Chengawa said, "Honorable teachers, how many bodies have you taken from beginningless time? Now, since you have never practiced Mahayana teachings, you must apply yourselves assiduously." So you've had so many bodies since beginningless time, over and over again. Since you've had so many bodies, and in those bodies, you haven't practiced the Mahayana. You haven't achieved the goal of the Mahayana. And so now, since you once again have a body, be very careful because you have an opportunity to practice the Mahayana. So practice the Mahayana, and so be careful and make sure you make use of this spaces this time, because previously we didn't. So Then we have another quote from Sampua. Rinpoche said is a Kadampa spiritual friend, Geshe, Kadampa Geshe. In this cyclic existence, there are many turns of fortune for better and for worse. Do not stake your hopes on them. Reflect until you give rise to this kind of thinking. After you've developed it, you must continually sustain it in meditation. So this is the 8th point, or the 8th section in Giant Shaba's outline. Dixon.
Taoto dunga tu na ngapa mebi nyapa de ni chenda da shema de da ni ru so ta ngoba mebi jusen ngoba mebi nyapa de ji shi ni ji chan da
Lessa.
ji de ji chan ro
Lessa.
ji chare.
So now when we look at the numbers, the 6 types of suffering, we've gone through the first type of suffering, and that is the fault of uncertainty. The suffering is the fault of uncertainty. In that we have 2 categories: uncertainty in our future lives, and then uncertainty in this life. And then the second category is the fault of insatiability. And in this particular section, Jayan Sheba makes 8 categories, which we've gone through. So we've gone through this first 2, the first being 2 categories, having 2 of its own categories, and the second having 8 of its own categories.
Ta ngaba mebi nyaba ngoba mebi nyaba ni ji ngaba mebi nyaba tel don se ni ngoba mebi nyaba tel ji cha ji ta somba yang na ya du ya ni san jo se de marba somba ya ane ya ne ya dos
Lu yan the yan du doorway.
ya dun du so o de tel dat ji ma de ma do du o de sa ji ma du so ma de
Then Yun. Man Chenmo, the Tsikashe. Mambo yo.
Ya ne ya dun du yin ba ne tare dani ruby pombo dani ruby pombo ne habu ne ji de ju de xie song de ran ri le lan ne du yu ruba ma gu na habu le jang mo os wo de saji de lo de da ma do ma do.
Okay.
So le yan ne ya dun du yin ba se de le ne rari dani ruby sa ana nga su shen ne wo de rugu ngalo da me ba cha sa ma du rugu ngalo me ba ma cha ba ji dan de yo ba ina ri ja ba ro le ya to cha sa ba de
So do.
ne lho nya ba jin jin de ju de xie song de sa shen jie ri le lang ne de yu je ba ma gu na je ba de su ngalo me ba cha me na ma gu na ne lho le jang mo wo de ba de ja del ji ma mu do.
Listen. So number 3, the fault of casting off bodies repeatedly. We don't find any commentary for this particular one. So we'll just read through it as it is. Friendly letter, Nagarjuna's friendly letter. Each of us has left a pile of bones that would dwarf Mount Meru. For each living being, if the bones discarded upon taking up new bodies did not disappear, they would tower over even Mount Meru. So if we right now had the bones that belong to our bodies in our previous lives, and we were to pile them up, the pile of bones would be higher than Mount Meru. So this is the fault of casting off bodies repeatedly, that we've had this many bodies, like we have a body right now. We've had that many in our previous lives. And then that many meaning so many that it would pile as high as Mount Meru if we had them now.
Ta somba je bare ya ni san jo at lo wat sa ji son do son.
That's so.
Ya ni san jo at lo wat ja je be sa ji son de do de ko le ne. Sa ji son de yong do. Wo de ni san ju ni bo wat ne ma ka so re kong go ba ji je Congo bandere and mai yani sanju ne ba ne mai Totara Jashu Rebutang Relu Dang Sai Lama Jur Sheba was that's also Amak Trankata Ame Trankata was a Sai Rebut ne Shubak ne Shubas what the Rebunaji Chushun Drine Ngai Machi Ni Sonjis Tamayina what the Sanghas of Zunugres Mad Duayo Mares or the Kungo but the Teresia Mai Tota Jashu Segutan ne Reludan Jan Sai Lama Jurus or Sad can do the Maitaka Duma Matele Moares Sheba was what about the Sheba Resha.
So number 4, the fault of repeated rebirth. We find a quote from the friendly letter. If you look for the limit of mothers by counting with earthen pellets the size of juniper berries, the earth would not suffice. So if we were to try to count the number of mothers that we have had in our previous lives, and we were to take this pellets that were the size of juniper berries and start to count them out one by one, the entire earth wouldn't be enough space for all of these berry size pieces. So this is the point that's made here in the friendly letter. Okay, so there are 3 categories. The first category is again, like we previously had, what is the origin? Where does this come from? So we have a friendly letter.
That's what Ama what the Tangayo Maris and Ama Jiwa Hami, Ama Jiwa Hami, Ama the Tangadana, Sad Ribichu Dabaina, Sanghasa Zunugre, Matlemo Yores, Mai Tota, Jashu Rebutan, Roldan, Sai Lamanjuro, Sheba was what about the Congo with the Resha. That neighbor Hama, the Hama now, Shenji Jiki. Mashibi, Shenjig Mashibi, Changla Joe and the 2 meters, and then Makaji is the going water. The Hamana, Shenjig Matele, what the Trankayo Maris Lagun was Temares, what the Londa Ribiguna Gavus, Lori Nijigune, Londa Tanda in Gunagaba inside. The Hamana, Shenjig Mashibi, Trangla Joa, Maltahama said, Shenjig Mashibi, Trangala Joa, Dona Maris,
Ami,
Shenjig Mashibi, Trangatele, Shenjig Mashibi, Trangaljana, what the Shenjatajan Zumaro.
Okay. So,
among us, and Shenjatajan Zumaro. Dangmaris, Demete, what the guy was at it. The Jabas and the Jaba, and then the Jaba she didn't Jaba in the Karin Sare. The Jaba, Dotambale, Jaba, Dotambale, Glunta, Penas, then Jabale, Dojitan Yondo. Jaba, Doge, Wondo, Teltasado. Glunta, Pena, Jibungajiki, Sachamundele, what the Dama Jibarendo, Sachamundele, Jashuki, Tsendutanji, Ruljete, the Dan Dagi Mao, the Dan Dagi, Mati Mao, She, Doashena, Glunta, Sachamundi. Jimba Chi Hawa Seven Juji Manaji Mana Tata Mahino She Ranki Mane Thi Mala Subi Mai Rinji Jindu Juba Tumbatang Shetans or the Tumbatang Shetans. What the long do what Mendo? Jean Le Jean, my tota, Cheson, Rebedu Mendo. London down the Drubaris.
Less so. So we have then the giant Sheba, the Sum, the Kongoba Tambo, the
Kongoba Tambo de Rendua, Kongoba Dua de Chujumana Madua, Mai Tota, Jashu Rendutan, Roldajan, and Semejo, the Kongoba de Rendua, the Kongoba J, Denama, Kajigi, Dobaji, London Rebani, you're going to cover this. London Rebani, you're going to carry on this. The Nam, Sentient Jiggy, Mamma Jibi, Tala Joane, Sentient Jiggy, Mamma Jibi, Tala Jo, Kajig, or the Logundus, the Tunda Maris, or the Utelja Maris, the Indrebas, the Tambales, Galunta Puna, Jebungajiki, Sachimundele, Jashuki, Seguzanji, Rolishete, Dadan Dag Mau, then Dag Mai Maus, Maushi, Dora Shena, Galunta, Sachimundi, Jimbane, Chikama, Sen Zebra Juchi, Manaji, Machubane, Tata Mahino, she Ranki Mane, Ti Malasubi, Rimbajin to Juguba Tumba Thai Shadans, with the long Drubatism.
That's so.
Long Drubatje.
That's so.
Tari Bidrubat was the Junle Chang and Tota Sheson Beager, Ribidrum and
the Tambo, Lung, Nipa, Jipi, Ripa. Tambo Kongupa, Nipa, the Lung, Sumba, Ripa.
Sumba the wool redwa.
Ripa.
The la Juas Tenmare.
Okay. So then the second category is presentation of correction by scripture, and then the third category is correction by correct sign, dayanda, by using correct signs or reasoning. So those are the three categories that Jayan Shiva presents. So first the origin, second correction by way of scripture, and then correction by way of analysis, reasoning, correct sign. So it says, earlier scholars took this to mean that each palette represents a living being who has been your mother, but this is incorrect. The Clear Words explanation of Friendly Letters cites a sutra which indicates that it refers to the line of matrilineal predecessors from one's own mother to her mother, and so forth. For example, O monks, if someone took from vast earth pellets the size of juniper berries and set them aside, saying, "This is my mother, this is my mother's mother's mother," then monks, the clay of this vast earth would be exhausted, yet the line of matrilineal predecessors would not. So that's where the scriptural correction is. And then we get into the reasoning, correction by reason.
Less so. So you first have. Okay. Tandenman Hama Kaji chicken Dobate, London Rebani gonna guy is Londini Gabane, the Hamanas, Hamana Shinji Jigi, Mashi with Tala Joane, Shinji Jig Mashi Vala Jose Dote, Digmaris Garis, London Rebani gonna Gabaris, the Hamana Shinji Jig Mashi be Tala Joane, 2 minutes the Mares, the Jebas. Pajati Jabal no tandus, no telendos on those Galunta Puna, Chebungajiki, Sachamotele, Jashu Sendutanji, Relushete, then dark mao, then the dark my mao she, doa she nas. Galunta Sachambondi, Jimbane, Chikhawa, Zebra Juji, Manaji, Manaji, Majuban Tata Maino, She Ranki, Mala Subi, Ranki Mala Subi, Rimba Gento, Juba, Noma Hai Shereswate. My mama is a Tankaja, the Masinji Mashi was doing Mares with a long Congo battery, Casa, long druba the batteries. That rebirth druba the Jun Le Chan, my Tota Sheson Beager. What the rebirth room is.
So we have the origin from the friendly letter. If you look for the limit of mothers by counting with earthen pellets the size of juniper berries, the earth would not suffice. Then we get into the scriptural correction. Earlier scholars took this to mean that each pellet represents a living being who has been your mother. So here, this is the what the other scholars posited, which is going to be corrected, that this particular quote is referring to one's continuum of mothers, and it's actually talking about in this lifetime, or in one's life, looking at the actual lineage of mothers that one has had. So we find this correction that's made first by way of scripture. So it says, this is incorrect. The clear words explanation of the friendly letter cites a sutra which indicates that it refers to the line of matrilineal predecessors from one's own mother to her mother and so forth. So here's the actual scripture that presents it. For example, O monks, if someone took from the vast earth pellets the size of juniper berries and set them aside, saying, this is my mother and this is my mother's mother, then monks, the clay of the vast earth would be exhausted, yet the line of matrilineal possessors would not. And then we get into the reasoning. Again, the reading of these former scholars is wrong because Nagarjuna's text says the limit of mothers. You should understand how this causes you to be disenchanted as follows. And then we have a quote from the 400 verses.
Gong 7 day waters, the Gong to the Nanu Samba Gong 7 day waters, and the Jew Junjulun, the Jew Junjulun, Nanu Samba Jayag, Nanu Samba Dungan Santana, Nanu Samba Jukandas in Judasana, Julun, Jabales, what then what it Sumba Ten.
Okay, so it looks like the number 2 and 3 are actually one category. So the scriptural correction and then the correction by reasoning, that's actually a category. So there's a third category that's separate from that. So we have origin, and then we have a category which contains these two, scriptural correction and then a correction by way of reason. And then number 3 is understand how this causes you to be disenchanted. So this is the third category, how this causes you to be disenchanted, how this causes you to have renunciation. And then we have a quote from Arya Deva's 400 verses.
What the Jija Bales, constant Rebiji, to me, June, Tommy Bas. Rebiji Mejiki Joale, Joangaman Yamasana, Tomayo Maris in Jerovata. Tommy June, Haminas, the Tomak Jutane was, and then Tangaso what the Ishuba to High Zubasana, Hag Zubat and Tomarwa. Natu de Joangamati, Hamangamason Dule, Toma de Jayo Maris, Homa, Tami Bas. Tese Chilayan Jeban, Tese Chilayan Jeber, Tone Kanla, Gimanju, Tese Kaza Chigi Joalayan, Jebasan Dabaina, Tenasu Tonsuna, and the Koaling about Shigering and New Sabaji Res, Tona Kanla, je menjo de jongre she somba tansa she somba tans ti debasa ti deba yande ne junpa ke malambi chansin ke che joa kayu mer juk kayu ku ru gamba chebo chembla tato joa ta jesu tumi chune chu jinje naba gomba riba shao she somba tar sheba shao o teba to de duba trading sare ti jeba yan de ne jun pa to ma ba shenje ji ge jo hama ne jun ta hat te ma re jun pa to malabes chanjing ge che joa ka yu ku yu ru gomba Chenmo la tato tetabi san tana ne koa le ngaba nyue ganyo samba jo jiyong gres jo atang tetang jesu tumbi chujin ji namba gomba riso sa chujin ji namba gomba tetang jesu tumbi chujin ji namba ta koa le ngaba nyue ganyo samba gomba jo te riso she somba tara sheba shaba teba te isare ancient Jilu
Let me check something here. Chu the da drapa the lo sun. How then the
da drapa tanda the jijaba marbe jijaba.
Then the da drapa jalpa kailan.
Ti jaba the jijaba jaba badan dai jaba din bare. Badan dai jijaba jaba sibi shere horta. Badan da drapa jijaba jaba the baby jaba drapa hore. Jijaba jaba. Or the Padden da drapa jijaba jaba to ngasu bende na je kotebo sibi hore.
Lesa.
Jajun khashi wo lu na ko khabdu.
Lesa.
Padden da drapa wo jijaba jaba the sibi shere hore. Kamanga lu no ji lu no.
Lesa. Then lo, kangalo. Okay, so that we have the quote from 400 stanzas that says you should understand how this causes you to be disenchanted as follows. The 400 stanza says, you cannot see the initial cause of even a single effect. Seeing how vast the causes of even one effect are, who would not be frightened? So we look at one person and we look for the initial cause of that person. And as a Buddhist, we assert that there is a beginningless rebirth, so we can't posit some kind of first. If we were to try to count and arrive at one, we would not be able to. In the non-Buddhist tradition, and for instance in Christianity, there is an assertion of a first, because of there is an assertion of a creator God. Therefore, since we have this production by other God, we can posit a way to count. We can find a first. But in the Buddhist tradition, it's not possible to find first because we have this previous life, and we can't come up with a first when we're looking at it in terms of cause and effect. So if we even look at one person, we're not to be able to find an initial cause of even a single effect. So the single effect is meaning of one person. So imagine, it says, seeing how vast the causes of even one effect are, who would not be frightened? So when we're looking at how many causes, and we're looking at infinite causes, we're looking at beginningless causes to create this result that we're looking at here, it says, who would not be frightened? Who wouldn't want to emerge? Who wouldn't want to get out of cyclic existence if one knew this infinite time that we've spent in cyclic existence? And then Chandrakirti's commentary on this says, so many of the Indian commentaries are very difficult to read This particular commentary by Chandra Kirti on Arya Deva's 400 verses reads in a similarly to a Tibetan text, so it's very clear and very easy to understand, whereas many of his other writings and other Indians' writings are very difficult to understand. This particular text is very clear and easy, and it says, "It is right to cultivate a sense of disenchantment, a constant sense of disenchantment and a corresponding mode of conduct in the face of this vast wilderness, cyclic existence, where movement is difficult on account of the dense forest of ignorance whose reaches cannot be measured." And previously, I forgot one thing. Rinpoche defined renunciation according to the three principal paths. So he was saying renunciation is this day and night seeking transcendent liberation. If you're day and night seeking liberation, and then that means you have experienced transcendent renunciation. So this is what we're speaking of when we're speaking of this disenchantment. We're speaking of renunciation, and again, renunciation is defined by Lama Tsongkhapa's own text, Three Principal Paths, where it speaks of aiming for freedom all day and night, then you experience transcendent renunciation. So that'll be it for today. So the next one, there are 9 categories, so we'll do that in the future. There's a lot. So we'll have the concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. And thank you again, everybody, for your patience. Maybe next week or the week after, I'll stop bringing the dog that many of you might hear on the cassette, because it's becoming distracting. And I think she's old enough to be alone. So thank you again for your patience with it. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offering. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. Whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All powerful Avalokiteshvara, Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, uphold the scriptural and realization of doctrines, the spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts, exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rinpoche Gutsi Shapi